Hello and welcome back to our channel. My name is Daisy and today I'm going to tell you about the 6 stages of clay. We're going to start with the first one, which is the one that has the most moisture. And I have a little bit here on my brush. This is called slip. Slip is essentially just clay and water mixed together to give you this awesome paste that we're going to use to connect things together. You can also use slip to create forms out of plaster molds, but in my classroom we pretty much just use it as a glue to connect handles, for example, to this jug or to a mug, or to do add-ons like adding those eyes in or the nose on. You always have to score and slip, and you'll hear all about that in another video that I'll do in the future. So this is the very first one. It has the most amount of moisture and it is called slip. After that stage, we are going to have the plastic stage. So at this point, clay is dry enough where it is moldable. You can take it and you can make it into a snake if you wanted to. This is called a coil. You can roll it on the table. It's very, very flexible. I can bend it and create a spiral if I wanted to. And it has a lot of pliability. This is a very fun stage to work with because it is very flexible and you can change it into whatever shape you want. This is also very sticky, so you're not going to need to score and slip as much, although it is always wise to do so. And that is the second stage, plastic. So once something is shaped and it starts to lose a little bit more of its moisture, it starts to inch towards the third stage, which is leather hard. And this one is already a little bit past leather hard. I can still feel that it is cool and it has a lot of moisture, but it's getting towards the end of it. So if I wanted to rehydrate this, I might have to put it in a container and spray it really well with water. Sometimes it does a really good job of rehydrating and other times it just won't. So you have to be very careful when you allow things to dry, that they don't dry too fast. This one's been sitting out while I've been recording and re-recording myself give this little lecture through video, so that's why it's so dry. Anyway, so I'm working with a cup that's in the leather hard stage, and this is my favorite stage to carve in. At this point, the cup can hold its form. It's no longer as flimsy, it's not very flexible, but it will still be able to be carved, and it will give you very clean lines when you carve it. So you can see the lines are pretty clear. Oh, and I can take my crumbs and just put them right in my slip, maybe add a little more water, and it'll turn back into slip because it's still recyclable. Clay is recyclable at any stage except after it's been fired. So this stage right here, this is called bone dry. So this is one of the pieces that a student of mine made a few years back. I don't remember who made it, and it doesn't have a name on it, so. Yeah. It's all right. They probably won't come back for it. But I wanted to do that because I wanted to show you just how fragile it still is. And I think that lesson is worth this piece. So at this point, everything's broken apart and it will no longer come back to unless you're working with paper clay. If you're working with paper clay, then things do stick. But that is the only time that I would recommend attaching two pieces of bone dry clay together is if you're working with paper clay. And that's a very specific kind of clay body. So anyway, it's very brittle at this point. It's very fragile. It will break if you drop it. It will break if you mishandle it. If you bump your handle into another piece, then it is going to pop right off. So be very careful with this piece, with this part. You don't want it to destroy itself, and then you end up with a pile of recyclable material. By the way, this stuff is still recyclable, and you could just rehydrate it and then wait a little bit, wedge it back together, and use it again for another piece, and you'll make a beautiful thing out of the dust and the remnants of this old piece that nobody wanted and nobody cared enough for to come back for. Oh, by the way, it is very important that you put your name on the bottom of pieces.
Have a name on it, so.
I don't even know what to say anymore. I'm just gonna go ahead and clean this up. All right, so the next stage is Bisquare, and Bisquare has already been fired one time, and after it's fired, it is very porous. So it has a lot of pores that are going to absorb whatever you put on it. And in our case, we are going to apply some glaze. They are going to marry together and live happily ever after, the glaze along with the clay body, and they'll become one, just like this. Is called Glazeware. It is the finished product, the result of the kiln bringing this to maturity. It has gone in the kiln 2 times. The second time it was coated with glaze, and now it is water resistant, and it is nice and decorative, and yeah, you can use it for whatever you fancy. So that is the 6th stage of clay, and after this there are no more. So with this being the final stage of clay, I want to thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time, and have a wonderful day. Bye.